All right, we're going on to 2019, one of the worst years of all time, and it's probably because they were in panic mode when they found out AEW was becoming a thing. 2019 was a very, very, very bad year for the WWE. AEW announced that it's starting up, and it looked very convincing. We had Double or Nothing, which was a great start to kick off AEW, and we just knew that for once we actually had competition against the WWE. So how does WWE follow up? Well, in one hand, they did try to push new guys and try to put new people on top, such as the man Becky Lynch, where Becky Lynch was essentially the face of the company. So much so that she was in the video game. Granted, she had to share the spotlight with Roman Reigns, who had a very awful year. Even Roman Reigns says this is my least favorite year in my entire career. And I don't blame him. And then as far as other people go, they try to make Seth the face of the company. Kofi Kingston had an incredible road to WrestleMania. However, his title run was very. Oof. It felt like he was just fighting a bunch of mid carders. He was never going after the top guys, which is what really hurt Kofi Kingston, if I'm being quite honest. And overall, they still heavily relied on legends such as The Undertaker, Goldberg. It was just a real mixed bag. But how did this show follow up? Well, let's just begin talking about it. Becky Lynch defeats Natalya for the Raw Women's Championship in a submission match. I didn't even realize this was going to be a submission match. I was just remember watching the match. When I saw this show live, I remember just skimming through it. I was doing other stuff. But now, actually sitting down and watching it, I was like, this was a pretty good match. It was very clear that they wanted Ronda Rousey back, but Ronda Rousey was pretty much done with professional wrestling. So why not have the woman who trained Ronda Rousey fight off Becky Lynch? Plus, it was in Canada, so okay, let's throw in Natalya there because Canada. Not a bad match, pretty good one. Yeah, like I said, Becky Lynch was hands down the best part of 2019. Becky Lynch and NXT were the best things of WWE in this time. Speaking of when I say that they had to heavily rely on legends, Goldberg beats Dolph Ziggler in under like 2 minutes. The story going around is that they had a show called Raw Legends Night where literally the entire show was the legends. They even closed off with all the legends just having a beer. Like the main talent just took a step back that night. And then Dolph Ziggler hated the episode, basically being us, the audience, I guess. He had an argument with The Miz and Shawn Michaels. He super kicked Shawn Michaels, knocking him out. We all thought this was going to be Shawn Michaels versus Dolph Ziggler. All of a sudden, Goldberg appears. They said, we're going to do this instead. Basically, what this was redemption for Goldberg after that god-awful match with The Undertaker. Both men wanted to redeem themselves. Undertaker redeemed himself at Extreme Rules when he teamed up with Roman Reigns and fought Shane and Drew, which was a really good match. I'm not going to lie. It was actually a really, really good match. As far as this, you kind of knew what was going to happen. Goldberg was going to spear Dolph Ziggler. Goldberg was going to send Dolph Ziggler flying. There's a whole story that Nick Nemeth told that he wanted to throw in some moves. He just didn't want to be a regular squash match. Like, he actually threw in some super kicks in the beginning. But essentially, he wins the match. Goldberg wins the match. There was a part where Dolph Ziggler is just talking smack, and then Goldberg comes back for more jackhammers and more spears. And this was just a big fat waste of time. And I just... Honestly, Goldberg, when he retired at WrestleMania 33, that was the perfect send-off to Goldberg. But they just kept bringing him back. Goldberg, in his mind, was never retired. And honestly, him complaining on Ariel Helwani that his retirement didn't go as planned, I am glad it went the way it did. Because Goldberg sucks. He deserves that. He had a good send-off, and he screwed it up. So, you know what, Goldberg? Complain all you want. It's your fault, dude. AJ Styles defeated Ricochet for the United States Championship. Man, AJ Styles went from the top face between 2016 to 2018, even late early 2019 when WrestleMania was hitting. But after his feud with Seth Rollins, he just went down the mid card and only was in the main event when necessary, like the Boneyard match or when he fought Cody Rhodes. But he just never got back up there. As far as this match goes, um, this was kind of disappointing. The most infamous thing about this was Ricochet dressed up as Nightwing and then him jumping over Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. This was around the time they were trying to give those guys another shot at top main event talent, which never happened. Um, Ricochet had good matches in WWE, but they definitely limit him in the main roster. In NXT, he was great, having great matches with Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Velveteen Dream, even though we don't talk about that guy. So Ricochet had it. He just was definitely, they just never made him go to his full potential. I never saw him as the World Heavyweight Champion, even though I deep down wished he had won the World Heavyweight Championship at one point. Um, I just saw Ricochet as a mid carder. No offense. Like honestly, he could have been the one to break Dean Ambrose's U.S. title record. I deep down wish that's what happened. They gave it to Logan Paul, unfortunately. And like I said, this match was just all right. It just didn't live up to the potential that we all knew these guys could have. They only had 13 minutes. And this wasn't even their best match. I think their best match was Extreme Rules. And even that match was alright at best. And the only thing that's saving that match was the Styles Clash from the top rope. This one was just generic. Like, they should have made it a ladder match. They should have made it a 2 out of 3 falls. They should have given this match more time, and they just should have let them go balls to the walls because they had potential of being the show stealer. Unfortunately, it just never came up to it. Bayley defeated Ember Moon, and I cannot remember why this match happened. I guess they just wanted Bayley to stop fighting Charlotte Flair. So then they said, all right, let's just give Ember Moon a chance. And Ember Moon just never showed her true potential. And I'm going to be honest, I think Ember Moon had potential of even closing a WrestleMania down the road. Not the first one, but eventually down the road. Like, she just has a presence. She looks like a star. She was great on the mic. Athena in ROH, she is good, but she's not the same, if I'm making any sense. But Ember Moon, she just looked cool, and I'm just very disappointed. There was a side of me that kind of wish she would have swerved us and won, and then this would have led to Bayley just going crazy and eventually turning into a heel, because Bayley was boring around this point, and this was further proof of it. This match was kind of boring. Oh my goodness, Kevin Owens versus Shane McMahon, and basically the story was if Kevin Owens loses, he quits WWE. They made Elias the guest enforcer. This was just essentially what their vision was of Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon, only with lesser than characters. Not that Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon suck, but come on. And to top it off, we've already done this feud before. This was the around time where they were just like, okay, someone needs to take down Shane McMahon. I'm shocked it wasn't Roman Reigns that took him down. And they went with Kevin Owens. I like Kevin Owens, but he could have been doing so much. He could have been in the U.S. title picture. He could have been in the world title picture with Kofi Kingston. He does do it in the beginning, but then they just dropped him down the card, and then they pivoted into him a babyface just to have him fight Shane. And this wasn't even the payoff. The payoff was all the way up until October at the SmackDown when they officially moved to Fox. So what was the point of this? I will never know. Yeah, I was very disappointed, and I did not like this match either. But for me, the match of the night's got to go down to Charlotte Flair and Trish Stratus. This was the dream match. They had no reason to have this match other than we need Charlotte on the card. Trish Stratus is from Canada. Let's just have these two have a good match. And damn it, they had a really good match. And this was supposed to be Trish Stratus' official retirement, but of course, she always comes back. She came back for Becky. She came back for Tiffany Stratton. But to me, this would have been the perfect retirement for Trish Stratus. I was very satisfied with the match. And it is unfortunate that Charlotte just never fully became a babyface that they wanted her to be. The only true time that she became a babyface was right now with the team with Alexa Bliss. But this match showcased that Charlotte Flair is a great wrestler. Even though she was shoehorned down our throats, she was great. And this was further proof of it. This was the match of the night for me. Then we had Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton for the WWE Championship. Now, when it came to Kofi Kingston becoming WWE Champion, it was very clear to us that at some point he had to fight Randy Orton. He is the reason why Kofi Kingston never got pushed to the top. Ever since Randy Orton got backstage with Vince calling him out, stupid, 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 you know, Kofi never recovered from that. And it took years and years for Kofi to finally get the WWE Championship. So it's fitting that he would fight Randy Orton here. The problem was the ending of the match. It ends in a double countout. Randy Orton confronts Kofi's family. Kofi loses it, knocks him out with chairs, candlesticks, whatever, and beats him up. And then I was just like, didn't we just do this with the WWE Championship the previous year with Samoa Joe and AJ Styles? They're just rehashing stuff. This wasn't a good way to cap off the feud. If anything, it continued, which was great. They do have a better match at Night of Champions or Clash of Champions, whatever it was called at the time. But this really should have been the payoff, if anything. It's at SummerSlam, the Big Four. And yeah, Kofi's run, like, he just never had a top contender outside of Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. He was always fighting guys like Dolph Ziggler, Samoa Joe, people who were not even close to being WWE champions. Like, if you're gonna make Kofi the top guy, you gotta give him credible opponents. And I feel like because it was our wish, they said, okay, we'll give you Kofi Kingston as the WWE champion, but we'll just give you whoever we feel could fit a Kofi match, which I'm just like, no, he should be fighting the top guys. He eventually fights Brock Lesnar, and what happens? He gets squashed in seconds. The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, makes his debut against Finn Balor. He wasn't the Demon. My assumption was Finn Balor was going to fight Bray Wyatt as the Demon later on in the feud. What I did not expect is that Finn Balor was going to lose and then go to NXT and have a redemption arc there. With that said, this was a phenomenal squash match. Bray Wyatt's entrance alone was cool with the Eater of Worlds lamp. The old Bray Wyatt is gone, and this new Fiend character persona is taking over Bray Wyatt's mind and body, and then he just squashes Finn Balor, beats him, even pretends to crack his neck, which was a little scary because I'm like, if that move goes wrong, like, something could have really bad happened to Finn Balor. So I'm glad that they stopped doing that. That's one of the few times that I'm just like, okay, WWE, let's tell them to stop. But with that said, this was a great squash match. I enjoyed it, and it was a great way to introduce us to this new Fiend character for Bray Wyatt. Then we get Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. It was kind of weird how we got here. It was a 10-man all-star battle royal with a bunch of new guys that Brock has yet to fight. And we were like, oh, what if we get Cesaro? What if we get Randy? What if we get this? What if we get that? Nope, we all knew it was going to be Seth Rollins. And at this point, the only reason why they did this is because Seth Rollins was not seen as the top guy to everybody. Again, what is it with giving people the top spot only to give them shitty ass contenders? All I can remember from Seth Rollins as Universal Champion was that incredible match with AJ Styles, and then a bunch of garbage with Baron Corbin, who's not even on this card, by the way. And essentially, we had Brock Lesnar cash in on Seth Rollins, only so Seth Rollins could win the championship back, so we can cheer him. So in a way, it was kind of cheap babyface run. Paul Heyman was the one to book that decision, which I'm like, okay, fine. But can we finally get a decent run with Seth Rollins? We had a good match here. definitely was the match that we always thought we would get out of Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. A more confident Seth Rollins, a more workhorse. Like, it's always been squash match. Seth Rollins running like a bitch. So this was the first real good match out of these two, and I was very satisfied with that. Um, but this show, it really pissed me off. It just wasn't that good. I'm giving it a D plus. It's mainly saved by a couple of matches, but I just don't want to go back and watch this. So it was a long, dragged out show. Ooh, but the next one is during the pandemic, so let's see how that one turns out. Anyways, take care, everybody, and I'll see you with that review when I get to it.